I was at work when a random message popped up. I think you used to be with Jeffrey? Used to? My stomach dropped. I'm his wife, I replied. Then she sent screenshots of my house, my life, my husband. That's when I realized. I was sitting at my desk in Raleigh, halfway through a report I'd been dragging out all morning when my phone buzzed. Unknown name. No profile photo. I almost ignored it, but something about the timing made me open it anyway. Hey, I hope this isn't weird, but I think you used to be with Jeffrey? I just wanted to ask something if you're okay with it. I stared at that one line longer than I should have. Used to be. My first instinct was that she had the wrong person. I typed back, I think you might have the wrong number. I'm married to Jeffrey. There was a pause. I could see the typing bubble appear, disappear, then come back again. Finally, she replied. What? That was the moment my chest tightened. I reread our messages like something would change if I looked long enough. It didn't. Then another message came through. I don't understand. He told me his ex-wife was still living with him temporarily. That things were complicated but basically over. I let out a short laugh, but it didn't feel like mine. It felt automatic, like my brain was rejecting what I just read. We're not separated, I typed. We live together. We're married. There is no ex-wife. Another pause. Then she asked, can I send you something? My hands started shaking before I even replied yes. The first screenshot came through almost immediately. A text thread. His name saved with a heart. The messages were recent. From that morning. Jeffrey, she's still here, but it's basically done. I just need the right timing to make it official. Paige, I hate that you're going through that. Jeffrey, I just want to be with you already. I read that 3 times, then 5. She's still here. Like I was a problem he hadn't solved yet. More screenshots followed. Photos of them together. Not just random selfies, but actual dates. Restaurants. Smiles. Comfortable, familiar body language that didn't look new. Places I recognized. Places he told me he was meeting clients. My stomach dropped harder with each image. Then one photo stopped me completely. It was taken in a living room. My living room. Same couch. Same throw pillows I picked out last fall. Same lamp in the corner that I argued with him about because he thought it was too expensive. I zoomed in like I was trying to prove myself wrong. I wasn't. He brought her into our house. I didn't feel anger right away. It was something worse. Like everything inside me just went quiet all at once. Paige sent another message. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. He told me you were basically separated. That you were just staying there because of financial stuff. I didn't respond. Because the worst part wasn't the cheating. It was how detailed the lie was. He didn't just cheat. He rewrote our entire relationship into something else for someone else. I finally asked, how long have you been seeing him? Her reply came quickly this time. Almost a year. A year. I leaned back in my chair because I suddenly felt lightheaded. A year of late meetings. A year of him coming home tired and saying, work's been crazy. A year of me asking if everything was okay and him telling me I was overthinking. I typed, have you ever stayed overnight? There was a longer pause. Then yes. I didn't ask where. I already knew. She started apologizing again, saying she felt sick, that she would have never gotten involved if she knew the truth. Her messages didn't feel defensive. They felt shaken, like she was trying to process it at the same time I was. We started comparing timelines. And the more we talked, the clearer it became. Weekdays, he was my husband. Evenings and weekends, he was with her. Same routines. Same words. At one point she said, he always tells me I'm the only one who understands him. I stared at that message for a long time. Because he used to say that to me. Exact same words. I asked her where they usually saw each other. She mentioned restaurants, a few weekends away, and sometimes just staying in. In your place? I asked. She hesitated before answering. Yeah, he said it was easier than mine. Easier. I closed my eyes for a second, trying to steady my breathing. That meant he planned it. Not just once. Not a mistake. Not something impulsive. A routine. At some point she asked, what are you going to do? I looked at that question and realized I didn't have an answer. Because confronting him suddenly felt too simple. Like it wouldn't even touch what he actually did. I put my phone down and stared at my screen, but I wasn't seeing anything anymore. Numbers, emails, tasks, none of it mattered. The only thing that kept repeating in my head was how normal everything felt that morning. He kissed me before leaving. Told me he'd be late because of a meeting. Asked me if we needed anything from the store. Normal. Completely normal. I finished my shift on autopilot and drove home like I always did. Same roads. Same traffic. Same routine. When I walked into the house, he was already there. Sitting on the couch. My couch. Scrolling through his phone like nothing had changed. He looked up and smiled when he saw me. Hey, you're home early. Same voice. Same face. Nothing about him looked different. And that was the part that unsettled me the most. I said, yeah, work was slow. I set my bag down and watched him for a second, trying to see something I missed before. Anything. But there was nothing obvious. No guilt. No hesitation. No sign that he had just spent the last year living a completely separate life. Later that night, I was in the kitchen when he came up behind me and wrapped his arms around my waist. It was something he always did. And for the first time, I froze. Not dramatically. Just stopped. He laughed a little and said, "What's wrong with you today?" Like I was the one acting strange. I gently moved away and said, "Just tired." He didn't question it. He just nodded and went back to the living room. And that's when it hit me. Not anger. Not even heartbreak. Clarity. For months, maybe longer, I had been adjusting myself around him. Explaining away things that didn't make sense. Telling myself relationships go through phases. But this wasn't a phase. This was a decision he made over and over again. And, somehow, I was the only one not included in that version of reality. That night, I didn't confront him. I didn't even bring it up. I just watched him move through the house like everything was normal. Like I was still part of his life. And for the first time, I realized something I couldn't ignore anymore. He wasn't hiding from me because he was afraid. He was hiding because he didn't think I would ever find out. And now that I did, I wasn't sure if I wanted him to know that I knew. I didn't confront him the next day. Or the day after that. I kept living next to him like nothing had changed, except everything had. That was the part one wasn't prepared for. Not the cheating. Not even the lies. It was how normal he stayed. Wednesday morning, he woke up before me, like always. Showered, got dressed, made coffee. He even poured me a cup and left it on the counter the way he always did. Routine. Perfect, untouched routine. Got a long day today, he said, grabbing his keys. Might be late again. Late. I nodded like it meant nothing. Okay. Then he leaned in, kissed my forehead, and left. I stood there for a long time after the door closed, just staring at the coffee he made me. I didn't drink it. Instead, I picked up my phone and opened my messages with Paige. There were already new ones. "I didn't sleep last night," she wrote. "I keep replaying everything he told me." I sat down at the kitchen table and typed, "Me neither." There was a pause, then she sent another message. "He told me you guys barely talk. That you're only staying there because you don't have anywhere else to go yet." I let out a quiet breath. That one hit differently. Because it wasn't just a lie about our relationship. It was a lie about me. Like I was someone stuck. Dependent. Temporary. "I have my own job. My own income," I replied. "I'm not staying because I have to." She sent back, "I believe you. I don't understand how he could keep this straight." I didn't either. But I was starting to. Because it wasn't chaos to him. It was structure. I spent that day paying attention in a way I never had before. Not to what he said, but to how he said it. The patterns. The timing. The way everything fit together too cleanly. That evening, right on schedule, he texted me. "Running behind. Meeting went long. Don't wait up." I stared at the message. Then I opened my conversation with Paige. "Is he with you tonight?" I asked. A few minutes later, she replied. "Yes." He said he might be late because of work. I felt something in my chest tighten, but it wasn't shock anymore. It was confirmation. Two identical stories. Delivered to two different people. Both believable. Both consistent. That was the moment I realized this wasn't sloppy. It was practiced. I asked her, "What does he usually say when he leaves you?" She answered that he has to go home and deal with everything there. Everything there. I looked around the kitchen. The house. The life we built. That's what I was to him. Something to deal with. That night, I didn't call him. I didn't text again. I just let him stay where he was. And for the first time, I let myself imagine exactly what that looked like. Not in a dramatic way. Just realistically. Him sitting on someone else's couch. Relaxed. Comfortable. Probably using the same tone he used with me. The same jokes. The same expressions. A copy of the life I thought was mine. The next morning, he came home like nothing happened. Same routine. Shoes off at the door. Keys in the bowl. Quick glance at me like he was checking if everything was normal. "Morning," he said. Morning. He didn't hesitate. Didn't overcompensate. Didn't act guilty. That was what made it worse. Later that day, I met Brooke at work in the break room. She was talking about something random, office gossip, someone missing a deadline, but I barely heard any of it. At one point she stopped and looked at me. "You okay? You've been quiet." I forced a small smile. "Just tired." She nodded like that made sense. And I realized how easy it was to hide something like this. Because no one expects your life to be falling apart while you're standing there answering emails. That afternoon, Paige and I started comparing more details. Dates. Times. Patterns. And the clearer it became, the more unsettling it felt. He had a system. Mondays through Thursdays, he was home by a certain time. Predictable. Present. Fridays, he always had something. A client dinner. A late meeting. Drinks with coworkers. Weekends were inconsistent, but now I understood why. He was with her. Not randomly. Consistently. At one point, she said, "He told me he doesn't sleep in the same room as you anymore." I actually laughed at that. A real laugh this time, but it was empty. "He sleeps next to me every night he's here," I replied. There was a long pause. Then she said, "I feel sick." I didn't blame her. Because I did too. That night, he came home earlier than expected. I was in the living room when he walked in, and for a second, I forgot everything. It was just habit. "Hey," I said. "Hey." He sat down next to me, close enough that our shoulders touched. Normal. Everything about him felt normal. And that's when I realized something else. If she had never messaged me, this would have kept going. For how long? Another year? 2? Would he have eventually left? Or would he have just kept both lives running side by side? I turned slightly and asked, "Do you think we're okay?" It was such a simple question. But it felt heavy. He didn't hesitate. "Of course we are. Why wouldn't we be?" No pause. No confusion. No concern. Just certainty. And something about that answer settled everything for me. Not emotionally. Logically. He didn't think there was a problem. Which meant he didn't think he was doing anything that would ever reach me. Later that night, I lay in bed next to him, staring at the ceiling while he slept. And for the first time, I didn't feel like I was sharing a life with him. I felt like I was observing one. Piece by piece, I was seeing how it worked. And the more I understood it, the less I felt like reacting. Because reacting meant giving him a chance to explain. And I wasn't sure I wanted that. The next morning, Paige sent me a message I didn't expect. I told him I needed space. I stared at it. "Did you tell him about me?" I asked. "No," she said. "I just said something felt off." That made sense. Because something was off. It had been off for a long time. We just finally saw it. She added, "I don't think I can keep talking to him knowing this." I understood that. She could leave. She wasn't tied to him. I was. Not just emotionally. Logistically. Legally. Everything we built was still here. And I was still inside it. That was the difference. She got clarity and walked away. I got clarity and had to decide what to do with it. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized something that changed everything. I wasn't confused anymore. I wasn't guessing. I knew exactly what he was doing. Exactly how long it had been happening. Exactly how he maintained it. Which meant, for the first time in a long time, I wasn't the one in the dark anymore. And I wasn't sure yet if I was going to confront him. Or if I was going to do something he would never see coming. I didn't confront him. Not that night. Not the next day. Once I understood everything, reacting felt unnecessary. Because confrontation would give him something I wasn't ready to give him. Control. Instead, I paid attention. Not to what he said, but to what existed around it. Our accounts weren't completely separate. We had shared expenses, shared access, shared routines. And once I started looking closely, the patterns were obvious. Charges from places he claimed were client meetings. Gas purchases in areas he said he never went to. Small withdrawals that didn't match anything we actually needed. Nothing dramatic. Just consistent. Careful. That was the word that stayed with me. He wasn't reckless. He was careful. And for the first time, so was I. That Friday, he told me he had another dinner. "Client thing," he said, already reaching for his keys. "Okay," I replied. No questions. No reaction. He hesitated for half a second, like he expected something more. Then he left. The moment the door closed, I didn't sit there wondering where he was. I already knew. I opened my laptop instead. I went through everything. Not emotionally. Logically. What was shared? What wasn't? What I could move? What I needed to leave for now? I didn't rush it. I didn't need to. Because he still thought everything was normal. That was the advantage. Over the next week, I made small changes. Quiet ones. I moved part of my money into a separate account. Updated passwords. Reviewed documents I hadn't looked at in years. Nothing that would alert him. At the same time, I changed something else. My behavior. I stopped asking about his schedule. Stopped waiting for him at night. Stopped adjusting myself around him. And the strangest part? He didn't notice. Or if he did, he didn't question it. Because in his version of reality, this was already happening. Distance. Disconnection. It matched the story he had been telling someone else. One night, he came home earlier than usual. I was in the kitchen, scrolling through my phone, already halfway detached from everything around me. "You've been quiet lately," he said. "Just work," I replied. He nodded. That was it. No follow-up. No concern. Because as far as he was concerned, nothing had changed. That was the moment I knew I had time. By the end of the second week, everything was in place. Not dramatically. Just enough. Enough to leave without scrambling. Enough to not have to ask him for anything. Enough to not owe him a single explanation. The night before I left, we sat in the living room. Same couch. Same space. The same one I saw in that photo. He was scrolling on his phone again, completely relaxed, like always. Do you think we're okay? I asked. Same question. Same tone. He didn't even look up this time. Yeah, he said. Why wouldn't we be? No hesitation. No doubt. Just certainty. And that was the last confirmation I needed. The next morning, I left before he woke up. No note. No message. No confrontation. I took what was mine, left what wasn't, and walked out of a house that didn't feel like mine anymore. The drive felt quiet. Not dramatic. Just final. By the time he woke up, I was already gone. I turned my phone on silent and left it that way. But I still saw it. The missed calls. First 1. Then 3. Then 10. Then messages. Where are you? Are you at work? Why aren't you answering? Then the shift. Is this a joke? Call me. Audrey, what's going on? And finally, did you leave? I didn't answer. Not that day. Not the next. The messages kept coming. Less controlled each time. Shorter. More spaced out. Until they stopped. A week later, I checked one of them again. The last message he sent. I don't understand. And that was the part that stayed with me. Not the cheating. Not even the lies. But that sentence. Because he really didn't understand. He built an entire version of reality where I was already gone. He just never expected me to leave without giving him the chance to explain it. And maybe that's what this was. Not revenge. Not even closure. Just correction. He told someone else I was already out of his life. I just made it true. And I never gave him the chance to rewrite it again.